On today's show, what you need to know about natural and conventional medicine. Peter Glidden knew from a young age that he wanted to go into medicine. A debilitating illness and a remarkable cure led him to pursue a career in holistic health care. Dr. Glidden has run a successful naturopathic practice for over 20 years and hosts his own daily radio show. He has conducted hundreds of lectures around the world teaching that the body is able to heal itself using natural, affordable, safe, and effective solutions. An outspoken advocate for holistic health, Dr. Glidden's new book explores why MD-directed medicine consistently fails to cure disease. Here to explain his claim that everybody is sick, and I know why, please welcome Dr. Peter Glidden. Dr. Glidden, welcome. It's good to have you back.
Pastor, thanks a lot. It's always a pleasure.
The MD Emperor has no clothes. This is the book you wrote, right? Yeah. Everybody is sick, and I know why. You know, the thing I love about you is you're outspoken. We don't beat around the bush. Let's get straight to the point. And everyone's got an opinion in today's world. Yeah. And people get upset when someone says something confidently. Yeah. But you've been around enough in the area of medicine to see a whole lot of hurt. And it kind of ticks you off, I think.
A little bit.
Now, we did another show together where we talked about different cures. We started talking about it, and we also began to unpack that it's not easy in today's world for, like, and what kind of doctor are you again? I want to get it right.
Naturopathic doctor.
A naturopathic doctor, because a lot of the mainstream medical world is at odds with it. Right. Did I say that right?
Absolutely, positively correct. In the United States, for example, even though I went to a fully accredited naturopathic medical school, did all the licensing, everything, right? 8 years of medical education, thousands of hours of clinical supervision. I'm only allowed to practice medicine in 18 states. So what does that mean? That the laws of nature and physics and science change when you cross a state line? No, it's political. It has everything to do with politics. We don't have a free medical market. We haven't had a free medical market since the early 1900s, and that's one of the reasons why everybody is sick, because the root cause of all chronic disease is nutritional. And your medical doctor may be the nicest person God ever created, but they've had no training, no experience, and they have no respect or even any appreciation for medical nutrition. They're the wrong dog for the hunt for chronic illness.
So in our last show and some of the conversations you and I have had in the green room, you basically are saying the body will heal itself if it's given the right conditions.
Yes, this is the fundamental philosophy that naturopathic medicine, quite frankly, homeopathic medicine, herbalism, Ayurveda, chiropractic, every holistic type of medicine argues. The human body is endowed with a spiritual force, a spiritual intelligence, a divine intelligence, which is directing the show. There are millions of metabolic processes happening right now in our bodies completely beyond our conscious control. Somebody's running that show. It's the divine intelligence in the human body that's running that show. The body knows how to fix itself. The body wants to fix itself, but it needs raw materials to do it. This is our fundamental point. The body needs 90 essential nutrients, 60 minerals, like calcium and sulfur and zinc and magnesium, 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, 12 amino acids, and 2 essential fatty acids. A grand total of 90. This has to go down the hatch every day in order for the body to have the stuff it needs to function the way that nature and God intended.
There's no way you can find 90 almost anywhere around, though.
Well, but this is interesting, right? If the 90 essential nutrients are not present in the food, not all of them. And modern agricultural methods, through the overuse of pesticides, destroys not only the bugs that eat the plants, but it also destroys the bacteria that's in the soil that helps the plant suck up the nutrients into the plant body. So, if this is how much nutrition your body needs in order to just work the way that God intended it to, this is how much was in food maybe when you were a kid, now this much is in food. Now you walk through life, experience the stress of life, emotional stress, financial stress, political stress, environmental stress, viruses and bacteria and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. Your body burns through the rest of its reserves. Now you're running on fumes and things start to break. So you run out of omega-3 essential fatty acids, you get asthma. You run out of calcium, you get heartburn, you get muscle tics or twitches or bad menstrual cramps, chronic low back pain, arthritic conditions, high blood pressure. There are over 370 illnesses directly related to a deficiency in calcium, right?
Whoa.
Over 370. So you run out of the essential nutrients your body needs, then something breaks. So you go to the only medicine that your insurance pays for, which is allopathic MD-directed medicine. The doctors don't know anything about medical nutrition. They don't believe that the body can cure itself, so they give you a drug that manages the problem. The drug, in its working in the human body, also burns through nutrients. So after 6 months or a year, the drug stops working, or they need to increase its potency, or they need to give you a second or a third drug. And then you get worse, and then you need another drug, and then it gets worse, and then you need surgery, and then you get a secondary infection from the surgery, and then you need another drug for that, and then you die. And then your relatives are so grief-stricken that they organize a 5K run on your behalf to come up with a cure for stomach cancer. And who do they give the money to? The people that failed you in the first place. This is a problem. We do not have a free medical market, and we're dying because of it.
I mean, people are intelligent, but you'd think that they'd be allowed to go study it for themselves, but a lot of people want someone just to look after them. Have you found that? They just, I want to go see my doctor, and whatever he says I'm going to do, and they're not going to read for themselves? Or...
Yeah, that's correct. And you know, I mean, let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about it. Life is hard, man.
Yeah.
We got jobs, we got kids, we got mortgages, we got car payments, we got stuff we got to do, man. And you know, if you're an insurance guy, or you're a lawyer, or you're a plumber, or you're a carpenter, or you work on an oil rig in Alberta, you've got a particular skill set, and this is what you're good at. This is what you learn. This is what you focus. You don't have time to figure out all this medical stuff. You trust that the doctor knows what's best, and this is the problem. Your medical doctor may be the nicest person that God ever created, but they only know what they've been trained in. They don't know what's best for you. They know one tiny piece of the pie of medical science, and that's it. And all their colleagues do too. And then when somebody alternative comes along, they slam them. They kick them off of the bus, right? They're alternative, back of the bus, quackery. It's nonsense. If we had a free medical market, if all of a sudden, right, by some genie in the bottle magic, we woke up tomorrow, there were just as many naturopaths as MDs, just as many naturopathic hospitals, and it was all covered by insurance, and the naturopaths and the homeopaths and the Ayurvedic practitioners and everybody else got half of the research money that the pharmaceutical industry does. If that happened, within 3 years, MDs practicing general family medicine would be out of a job, because their therapeutics for chronic diseases do not work. And in a free market, people gravitate towards what works.
What works.
They'd be out of a job because our therapeutics work. And don't get me wrong, thank God for Novocaine.
Yeah.
Thank God for penicillin.
Sure. Surgery for important.
That's right, when you need it. But when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Exactly.
So in point of fact, whether you really do need surgery or not, the surgeon most probably is going to tell you need surgery because that's all that they know.
Very good. Let's take a break right here. When we come back, I'd like to unpack again just some of the things you're seeing out there with certain diseases. We were talking about heartburn on another show, and it was just kind of shocking to see your progression of what the problem is. So a lot of people are just looking at symptoms, and they're not getting to the root of the problem.
Bingo.
So we'll be right back with Dr. Peter Glidden.
If all of these illnesses were in fact genetic, why aren't there less and less and not more and more?
Welcome back. My guest today is Dr. Peter Glidden, who wrote this book, The MD Emperor Has No Clothes. That is funny. Now, everyone has been listening to you as you're sharing that there's more. We're not saying that kick every MD out of the country, because there's things that you have seen them yourself about. But you really want, as I'm listening to you talk now, you really want people to be able to research and see all the other options that are out there.
Yeah.
Now, Give me an example again. I'd love to grab another one. You're saying, okay, they're just managing the problem. They're just treating symptoms, but they're not getting people cured. What's another one that you would look at that you see all the time?
Type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is rapidly rising. It's everywhere all the time. It's getting worse and worse.
What do you mean it's rapidly rising?
More and more and more people are getting type 2 diabetes.
They're not curing it at all.
I mean, for goodness sakes. I mean, let's call a spade a spade.
Okay.
Arthritis, can't cure it. I mean, you want to have a eureka moment? Mm-hmm. Do a Wikipedia search. Just pick a disease. Do a Wikipedia search and look to see what the cause of the disease is. We don't know what the cause of the disease. Medical doctors don't know what causes anything. It's supposed to be genetic. Well, I don't think so, because didn't Darwin argue about the survival of the fittest and, you know, the selection, natural selection? So if all of these illnesses were in fact genetic, why aren't there less and less and not more and more? Because they're not genetic. It has nothing to do with it. If there's anything to do with the chromosomal activity and the relationship to chronic disease, it's because of epigenetics, environmental factors which negatively affect the genes. Something that's genetic, you're born with it.
So the pancreas is not producing enough insulin. Is that what's going on?
Well, okay, so there's two types of diabetes. Type 1 diabetes,
okay,
where your pancreas stops producing insulin.
Okay.
Then you need insulin to live. And type 2 diabetes, which you develop later on in life, where your body starts to get sluggish in its ability to metabolize sugar, right? Mm-hmm. Type 2 diabetes is rising rapidly. Now, interestingly enough, the medical doctors have no idea what causes it, and they have no idea how to cure it. They manage it with metformin and with insulin. Metformin reduces the liver's ability to metabolize sugar. So let me walk you through how this happens, okay? So you eat something that has sugar in it. By the way, sugar is not the Antichrist.
Okay.
Sugar is the gasoline of the body. You couldn't blink an eyelash without sugar. Sugar is so important to the human body that your DNA is made from it. DNA is an acronym, deoxyribonucleic acid. The ribo stands for ribose, which is sugar.
Sugar.
Your DNA is made from sugar. You couldn't blink an eyelash without it. The problem isn't sugar. It's how much are you eating and how efficient is your body at dealing with it. So, eat something that's got sugar in it. Your body produces insulin. Insulin floats through the blood, binds to the cell walls. How does it know how to do that? You would think that would be an interesting question to ask, but medical doctors don't ask that question. How does it know what to do? It's a biochemical. How does it know where to go and what to do? Well, I'll tell you how it knows where to go and what to do, because there's divine intelligence guiding it, period. So insulin floats through the blood, binds to a cell wall. There's a little receptor on the cell wall that's specific just for insulin. Insulin binds to that receptor, sends an electrical signal through the middle of the cell to open up a door on the other side of the cell to let the sugar in. It's like somebody showing up at your house, ringing the front doorbell, and the kitchen door opens up to let the groceries in, all right? That's how it should happen if you're healthy.
Okay.
But in order for that signal to go through and open up the sugar door, minerals need to be present inside the cell.
So we're back to minerals.
It's a big deal, man. 2 minerals specifically, vanadium and chromium, but there's about 25 other minerals that are at play also. So if this is how many minerals your body needs, but this is how many are in the body because they're not in the food like they used to be, then the insulin binds to the cell wall, tries to send a signal to open up the sugar door, but it gets interrupted. The sugar door stays closed. So what does the body do? It produces more insulin, because the sugar is outside the cell, not inside the cell. The body knows that. How does it know that? Nobody knows how it knows that, but it knows that. So sugar is still in the cell. The body produces more insulin, more insulin, more insulin. It rings the bell. The door is closed. It rings the bell. The door is closed. More insulin, more insulin. Finally, there's so much flippin' insulin in the blood that it forces its way through the door. It slams through the door, breaks the door open. A little bit of sugar gets in the cell. Is that a good idea? It's a bad idea, because you break the door when that happens. What happens when you break enough of those doors? Your fingers fall off, your toes fall off, your feet fall off. you get diabetic neuropathy, you get gangrene, all of which are associated from blood sugar issues, but not blood sugar issues, too much insulin. What does the MD deliver? Insulin to somebody who's type 2 diabetic. And their other strategy is to give a drug called metformin, which inhibits the liver's ability to produce sugar. Well, this is fascinating, right? Yeah, let's do that instead of just giving minerals, which, by the way, in 1957, it was proven by a medical doctor that vanadium and chromium specifically was related to type 2 diabetes. This guy named Mertz, Dr. Mertz, could turn type 2 diabetes on or off in laboratory mice by giving or withholding chromium. That was in 1957.
Well, why haven't we heard about it? Why isn't it out there mainstream helping people?
Because a medical doctor, the pharmaceutical industry makes more money managing the disease than they do in curing it.
Interesting.
My people are destroyed by lack of knowledge.
So if you were seeing someone right now with type 2 diabetes, what would you do for them?
You give them minerals. Bob's your uncle. Boom. You give them the 90 essential nutrients. And this is the holistic method, okay? The holistic method is the body knows how to fix itself, the body wants to fix itself, the body's trying to fix itself, but the body needs help. We need to eat food, we need to breathe air, we need to drink water. Well, there's one more thing we need to do that nobody told us. I'm telling you right now. You need to swallow 90 essential nutrients every single day. You need to do that, appropriate for your body weight, in recipes that your body can actually absorb. When you do that, your body fixes it, takes care of it. Now, how much is your body going to be able to fix it? Depends on how bad it was before you started doing the program. You wouldn't believe the things I've seen people recover from. You wouldn't believe it. The body's ability to cure itself is much greater than anybody has led you to believe. We must mineralize the body, we must nutrify the body, and then we also have to stop eating certain foods that are gumming up the works. When we do these two things, the body rallies and healing begins.
Our time is up. This is fascinating. I mean, the other day I was listening to a doctor, one of the top doctors on television, an MD, basically say that, you know, all these people taking all these supplements and all these vitamins, he said, what a waste of money. He said, it's just going in one end and going out the other end. Just eat good. You're saying there's not enough in our food to even eat good. You've got to supplement.
This is academic. This is not arguable. It's just wrong, incorrect, bad information. I mean, when you drink beer, you pee it out, but it makes quite an effect as it's passing through, right?
Yeah, it sure does. Dr. Glidden, thank you for being with us today. Our time is already up. Thank you.